right, guys, welcome back to Two in the Zone. Happy Friday, Dad. We haven't done one of these Friday shows in a minute,
Uh-huh.
but everybody, thank you for coming back. Dad, the one, the only, the GOAT DPP there, having a great time in Philly with all the awesome sports news up there. And then you have myself, AC, who's celebrating his Mavericks into round two. Thank you, everybody, for joining. We do this every Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, but I think that's going to change moving forward. With the playoffs now, NBA playoffs, NHL playoffs, and baseball as well. We're going to see which 3 days is going to be the best in terms of scheduling for us. So be on the lookout for that. But please give Seven Stacks Sports a big follow. Over 10,000 followers now. We're going to get them to 15,000 in this next month or so. So please shout them out. Please follow them. They're always doing giveaways. They're always doing promotions. And they're doing like a really cool, like 200%, free play bonus for people signing up today. So definitely check it out. Dad and I will have a free collab pick sometime tonight or tomorrow. So be on the lookout for that as well. Again, that's at 7Stack Sports on Twitter. All right, Dad, how was your night, bro?
Yeah, it was amazing. I mean, my Eagles got AJ Brown. My Sixers took care of business. Phillies beat the Rockies. Got a little sweep. Flyers still suck, but other than that, everything's good. I was really happy with the draft. I wanted Kyle Hamilton there, but I still like the pick. And then the AJ Brown news, man. I mean, that was awesome. But the Sixers really took the cake for me. If they lost that game, AC, I would have had to answer to a lot of people because I was talking a lot of shit the whole week. So big time game there. And then you had a nice night too, right? Your Mavericks pulled off the win, so I'm sure you were happy too.
Yeah, the Mavs were definitely really excited. So here in Dallas, we haven't won a title since 2011, right? That's when Dallas beat LeBron, D Wade, and Chris Bosh in those finals. But they had never gotten out of the first round since. So it's been 11 years of just mediocrity. Finally, we drafted Luka a few years ago. He was still over in the playoffs. We're finally in round two, so we're excited about that. I just want to do a quick recap on that AJ Brown news. I mean, I think it's a great move for you guys. You guys have been striking out on drafting wide receivers now for like 20 years. And instead of going, for one in the draft, AJ Brown, for people who don't know, is only 24 years old. Like the guy is basically a 4-year rookie with a ton of experience. We already know he's a beast physically. He just needs to make sure that he stays healthy. And I think those fans in Philly, that environment in Philly is going to really be perfect for him. So as a Cowboys fan, I'm actually worried about the Eagles this year.
That sounds good. That's what I want to hear. But yeah, he's only a year older than Devontae. You see, so definitely excited about that. NBA recap for last night, and then we'll get into a little bit of the series bets. Also, guys, if you have comments, I see a lot of people commenting on games they want us to talk about. Some MLB as well. We'll try and touch on that. Someone discussed about the Mets Phillies game tonight, and there's a few other games. But let's get into last night's games. We'll start with my Sixers beating up on the Raptors. I mean, an absolute beatdown in Toronto. That game was not close. Once that third quarter came around, it was a little close in the first half, back and
Yeah, it
forth.
was close in the beginning. I was feeling good about the Raptors, man.
Second, yeah, right. And then I mean, it just got ugly there. From that point on. So we'll keep it brief because I could talk about the Sixers all day. But now we got Miami coming up. Toronto had a good season still. Congratulations to them. They were obviously not, expected to do anything this postseason. So they took us to six. That was, I'd say, a win for them. Although the media seemed like they were picking the Raptors to pull off that upset. Now we have the Heat coming up, and we'll get to that series at some point. But let's talk about your Mavs there with the Jazz game because I think the Jazz are going to blow this team up in the offseason. I mean, you mentioned it. The world knows they don't like each other a whole lot. They drew up a gem of a play there. I love Quinn Snyder. He's one of the best with out of bounds plays. A wide open three. I think you could hit that, AC, at the
Oh, I
YMCA.
could. I could. I'm playing tonight. I'll show you that I can.
Yep.
Bogdanovich had an amazing game one. I think had a pretty decent game two, and has been DOA since, right? I think he was 0 for 9 in game five. I think that shooting slump continued here last night. You're an NBA pro player. You're also a shooter. You're one of the best shooters in the world, and you leave that. You almost airballed that. it was so short. He almost airballed it. It was wide open. I mean, there's not much to say, man. This team is dead in the water. I think the fact that they let the Clippers come back and beat them last year really just ended this team. So the fact that they gave it one more shot, Mike Conley is horrible now. He's a super shell of himself. I think the only value obviously is Gobert and Donovan Mitchell, but I think that Gobert is going to be really hard to move, right? We're just talking from a Utah perspective. Everybody knows what Gobert is. He's a dominant defensive rebounding center. He's probably going to win another 1 or 2 Defensive Player of the Year awards for, he still has like 8 more years in his prime, but he's just not built for the playoffs, not in 2022, not this style of basketball where guards are hunting big guys, making them, guard them in the perimeter. And if they can't, they're just going to shoot threes right over him. And I think Gobert's time in the playoffs is officially done. So it's going to be hard to move him. So with that said, I think that the only player that holds significant value that's going to get a lot of picks back, a lot of young guys back, maybe even a star back would be Donovan Mitchell. So I think Donovan Mitchell is going to be the one that's going to leave Utah.
All right, let's get into the series here with the Celtics and Bucks coming up because we've had a lot of questions in the comments here. The price has shot up a little bit, right? The Celtics are up to minus 205 from my last look. So obviously Chris Middleton being ruled out for the series has a lot to do with that because they opened at minus 165. I'm going to say the value here shot with the Bucks winning the series is a good bet from a betting's point of view because I still think that they can get it done. I think that they still have, that championship DNA through the roster. Grayson Allen's not nearly what Chris Middleton is, mostly due to the defensive end. But offensively, I don't think they're going to take a huge hit. I think you're going to see more volume from Giannis. I think Drew Holiday stepped up last year in the finals. They have the guys. They have Bobby Portis. He was there last year.
That's the big name. Yeah, I think if Bobby Portis is shooting like he did, during last year's finals run, it's going to take Robert Williams out of the game. And I think that's just going to play into Milwaukee's hands. So I agree with you. This is still the defending champs. Chris Middleton, I'm a big fan of his, but he's still very inconsistent, even as an all-star player. So it is a big miss, but at the same time, I agree with Dad, man. I don't think it's a huge drop-off if you're talking about Grayson Allen. And maybe Wesley Matthews, one of these games, hits like 4 or 5 threes that keep you in it as well. So I think at the end of the day, man, the best player on this court is still going to be Giannis. And I think I don't think he's going to be, put away that easily in the second round.
Yeah, I'm all over Bucks here with the value. Just too much value there. The Celtics are way overpriced. And the Celtics haven't won these big games yet, right? I mean, Tatum's still young. Brown's still relatively young. They don't have – they have the experience there with Al Horford, Marcus Smart, but they haven't really proved that they can go in and win these big games. And like you said, the Bucks are still the defending champ. So I think this is a outrageous price despite no Middleton.
So then let me ask you, Dad, if you're liking the dog in one series in the East, are you?
I'm still liking the dog in the other. Yeah.
Okay. That's so the price there. Yeah, the price there, the Heat are basically minus 165. Sixers plus 135. If you like the Sixers, that's pretty good value. A lot of people don't realize the best player on this court is going to be Joel Embiid. So, I mean, I don't think it's a bad bet if you believe in Philly. It's really going to come down to James Harden, man. Is James Harden going to be the second best player, or is he going to be the 4th or 5th best player on the court?
Yeah, last night, yeah, he turned it on last night. I think he kind of showed what he can do. I just think it's an issue of aggression. Now, here's the thing with the Heat in this series. I don't think the Heat are very healthy. I think that the Lowry injury is being played down. I think that the Jimmy Butler injury has been played down a little bit. So I don't think this is a fully healthy Heat team. If you look at the Heat roster, it's funny because I was looking at it today. They don't have, 5 of their 10 players who
play. Superstars. Yeah,
they're undrafted. So their player development pretty insane, right? That is crazy. Giannis is the same age as Jaylen Brown. Someone just said in the comments.
Yeah, we're getting some awesome comments in the thread. One thing I want to point out,
knocked off. That's
Max Strus, man. Max Strus is a shooter. He
kind of took the spot of Duncan, right? Now Robinson doesn't play a ton of minutes. Strus he could stroke it in college, but again, these guys are all undrafted guys.
Yeah.
I just think their player development system is unreal. And again, I think value wise here, if Philly can steal one in Miami, which I think they can, um, you're going to see that price drop a lot because if they can,
And what's the latest on Kyle Lowry? Like, is
that's the
he
thing.
hurt?
I don't think
Yeah.
he's all that healthy.
Yeah.
So I don't think, um, I think the value here is with Philly again. So I like Philly and Milwaukee to advance out of the East.
At the very least, right? You go 1-1, both are plus money, and that should be profit for you. But I actually think Philly. I think Philly's ceiling is higher. We just don't know if they can play consistent enough, and that's really the only question when you're talking about James Harden. Because I think one thing people are not talking about here, Thibault is going to play every game, right? This first series, he didn't get to play against the Raptors in Toronto. He's going to be able to play every game this season or this series. So Tyler Hero, Jimmy buckets, maybe even some Bam. Thibault is going to be on him, and then you have Maxi. Again, Maxi didn't have a good first round. Maybe that's a little regression, and he'll have a better second round. I mean, there are some things that are exciting in the Philadelphia Sixers world for sure.
Yeah, he was really good at 3 of the 6 games. He was just inconsistent. I felt in that first round.
And
But I
then
mean,
how bad is Embiid's thumb too? We
I
don't
think
know that.
I think he's good. He'll work there. All right, your Mavs and first let's get to the game tonight, and then
Okay.
if you want to talk about the Mavs game. So Wolves and Grizzlies. Grizzlies are a minus. They're up to 1.5. It kind of opened around even, so the line's moving towards Memphis. We know that this game tonight, obviously, Game 6, so season's on the line for Minnesota. I took the Grizzlies to win the series when they were down 1-0. I think you did too. So I think we're in that same boat. But do you think it goes 7 tonight, or do you like the Grizzlies to close it out here in Minnesota?
I think we finally see a game 7, man. I
Really?
think we see a game 7. These are the same spots as last night, right? Raptors at home, game 6, they were a small underdog. Utah at home, game 6, they were a small underdog. Pelicans at home, game 6, small underdog. All three went 0-3. I think we see a little reversal tonight. It's Friday. Maybe the juices are flowing. People are drinking. They think it's an easy win with the Grizzlies, the better team. But I'm going to go with the sharp play, a little contrarian. I like the T-Wolves tonight, man.
We're going to be opposite here, and I hate being with the public, but I think the Grizz close it out. The Wolves can't close games. They say, I mean, twice,
Yeah,
two
they
of
can.
the Grizzlies wins. They were trailing by double digits in that fourth quarter. And the thing with the Grizz, I don't think the moment's too big for them. I mean, John Moran has that killer mentality. Desmond Bain, maybe it's because they're young, but the moment doesn't get to them at all. I mean, they'll be down 10 to 12 points. They erase it quick. The Wolves, they don't really have closers. I like Karl-Anthony Towns, but he's not a closer, right? It's tough to be a
Yeah,
closer.
he's soft, bro. He's
Yeah,
soft. Don't you remember when Ben Simmons had him in a headlock?
that's bad. Yeah. If Ben
Yeah.
Simmons puts you in a headlock, you might as well retire. But, I mean, they just don't have enough guys. I think Anthony Edwards should be their closer, but they don't really look to him towards the end. When games get tight, it's crazy. You'll see, like, Beverly shooting with, like, a minute. Like, he should
Yeah,
not shoot
the issue with them, is they shoot it when they're closing games instead of attacking the basket. They are the most athletic team around. They need to attack the basket and shoot free throws, but instead they're settling for 3-point shots. And you're right. I hate when Beverly thinks he's the number one option, especially when I'm on the Timberwolves. It makes
It's
me
frustrating.
so mad, man. Yeah.
I think Ja's gonna be too much. I think mentally the Grizzlies took that step, but it could go. We could see a 7. If it goes 7, I think they'll take care of business at home. So I'm not too worried about that series bet either way. But I'm ready for them to close out. I don't think the Wolves have the killers to do it this time of year. So let's get to that's that game that we got to, and then the series bet for your Mavs against the Suns. Suns opened up as a decent sized favorite, right? Series, rightfully so. I mean, they just won the Western Conference a year ago. We were texting this morning, and you were saying, you don't have much faith in the Mavs here. What do you think?
Yeah, if you're gonna bet the Mavs here, I think what are they plus 220? Let me see. Let me double check. Yeah,
Yeah.
plus 230 at most books. If you're betting the Mavs tonight, I would just wait because they're gonna lose game 1, and then you're gonna get like plus 350. So if you really believe in the Mavs, I would really wait until game 2. That's what I did against Utah. I was able to get in on the Mavs plus 450 after they lost game 1. So that was nice for me. And when you get a number at that big, right, plus 400, plus 300, you can always have hedging opportunities later on. So definitely look into that. As far as this series, yeah, I'm a little skeptical. I know the best player on the court can still be Luka, but he's still not 100%. And now he's going to have to go up against Mikal Bridges, who you and I both agree, if not the best perimeter defender right now in the league. We both love Bridges, but there's more than Bridges to this team. Like DeAndre Ayton would be a number one option on most teams, and he's the third option on this team. They still have the best closing lineup, and we've been talking about this for basically 2 years. You and I are super high on Chris Paul and Devin Booker in that fourth quarter. They've done it so many times throughout this year where they go into the fourth quarter down and then they just run their pick and roll, and Chris Paul gets anything he wants in a mid-range, and then Devin Booker does his stuff. They're both basically 90% free throw shooters, so they're able to ice games as well. So, I mean, it's tough. Like Dallas played a really good series, and they honestly should have finished it earlier, right? Game 4, they let that one slip away with Gobert's dunk there. But in this series, I don't think they're going to get any gifts from Phoenix. So I'll be happy if it goes 6. I'm expecting 5. But if we get 6 games, I'll be really, really happy as a Mavs fan, because I don't think we're close yet. We're still 2 or 3 players away.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's much value betting this series because I think Phoenix wins it. So I wouldn't lay that money with Dallas. I mean, don't lay that price on Phoenix. Maybe if they can get snake bit in a game 1 or 2. But here's the thing. The Pels just took them, right, to 6. And
That's a good point.
They should have took them to 7, right?
They could have won last night to get them to 7. One thing, though, there was no Devin Booker, right? There was no Devin Booker for like 2 or 3 of those games. And it also required like Chris Paul going 15 for 15 or whatever it was last night to win that game too. So you're right. But I'm also higher on the Pelicans than most people.
Yeah. I mean, I just think any time you have Luka in the lineup, that you're going to be in a game. So they just still won in Phoenix. I mean, the plot thickens in this series. So I think it's going to be a closer series. I think ultimately the Suns get it done in 6. Maybe we get a 7th game. But it all depends, man, how they're shooting. Like the Mavs have a lot of shooters on that floor when you think
it seems like that, man. But watching this team,
I swear to God,
watching this team all year, it wasn't like that. It's because of the Jazz horrible defense.
Dorian Finney-Smith is like Ray Allen now. I mean, like they're not missing
those shots that they got against the Jazz. They are not getting in Phoenix.
Well, I would agree with that for sure. Yeah, that's a fair assessment. But I think ultimately the Suns get it done. But Mavs, I would keep an eye. I think maybe at home I think they'll definitely take 1 in Dallas. But if they can steal 1 in Phoenix, it'll make it a fun series.
I'll be at game 3 and 4. So for those who are watching and want to meet up, let me know.
Yeah, that'll be cool for sure. All right, so those are the NBA games. We're not going to be here until Monday. So let's give a Celtics-Bucks prediction for game 1. 4.5 is the line right now. I just said I like the Bucks to win the series, so I'm going to go Bucks with the 4.5 to start the series. I think they come out strong here and at least keep it close in game 1. So I like the Bucks for that one. I don't know if you have any predictions.
I like the over. Even though there's Chris Middleton out of the lineup, I think there's still a lot of firepower on the Bucks. We mentioned Grayson Allen. We mentioned Wesley Matthews. Brook Lopez obviously can hit threes. Bobby Portis as well. But I think when the Bucks are playing really well, it's not that their defense is bad. It's because they're getting out and running. And if they're running, I think the pace will be quick enough. So I could be over in this game. Right now it's sitting at 217.5. I think both teams are going to be in the 110, so I think it should be okay.
Okay. Yeah, I like that for sure. All right, guys, final segment, best bets time. AC for this Friday slate. We only have 1 NBA game, so I don't know if you're looking to the diamond, to the ice. Final night of the NHL, right? Or is there maybe 1 game?
Yeah, I'm looking to the ice, man. I'm going to go with the other Boston team in the arena. Boston Bruins are on the road tonight against Toronto. Minus 125, maybe minus 130 at this point. But they are a road favorite, and I like them tonight because Toronto already has their spot in the playoffs locked in, their position locked in. Boston, if they win tonight, they actually catapult 1 more seeding. So I do like Boston Bruins tonight. What about you, Dan?
All right, I'm going to the 7-11 Chicago White Sox. So they have been brutal this year to start the season. I have the Twins to win that division as a long shot, so I'm liking it so far. But they play Minnesota tonight at home. I think the White Sox get it done. I think they get back on track. So I like this price. I think they're underpriced. They have a lot of guys dealing with injuries right now, but offensively they still have enough to get it done.
Did I think White Sox are going up against Angels, right? Angels and Noah Syndergaard.
Angels. Yeah, sorry, not the Twins. I meant to say the Twins divisional thing. Yes, they do play the Angels, correct. I'm not drinking early, even though it's a Friday. But they do get it's Lucas on the mound. So we got your ace here. You get Syndergaard, who's been really good on the young season. But I think they get it done ultimately. I think they turn it around. They're too good, right?
They're too good. They're too talented. Their lineup is too potent. I like that a lot.
Yeah, so we get the -130 price. All right, guys, that is going to be all for this week. AC, when will we be back? Monday? We have it scheduled?
I don't know. You and I will talk about it sometime this weekend. Maybe we'll just do 3 shows all on Monday. We'll see. But yeah, definitely with now kind of like a set schedule with NBA and hockey playoffs, we'll do something a little more consistent for you guys.
All right, guys. Thank you so much. Thank you once again, guys. Give a follow to our sponsor at 7 Stack Sports, and we'll see you next week.